Every fragrance collector has that one scent. You know what I'm talking about. Not the most expensive, not the rarest, but that one fragrance that changed everything for them. You know what's crazy about fragrance? A song can end, a movie can fade, but a smell, that can take you back to a moment you didn't even remember existed. One single spray can take you back to your first date with your wife, your dad getting ready for work, a holiday morning, or even a version of yourself that you lost for a while. And that's what this episode of Decant My Mind is about. The fragrance that changed you. For me, fragrance became bigger than just smelling good. It became about confidence and self-identity, and sometimes even therapy. When I was struggling physically, mentally, and emotionally, fragrance gave me something to look forward to. It was something exciting, something beautiful, and something that kind of made me feel three-dimensional. And I don't think people that don't collect fragrance fully understand what this means, but sometimes putting on a fragrance feels like I'm putting on armor against the world. It's kind of like if you spray on a powerful fragrance, you just naturally feel powerful. You feel invincible, like anything you do or say during the day, as long as you have that coat of armor on, you can really go up against anything. So really, my question for you guys today is, what is the one fragrance that changed everything for you? Was it your first designer fragrance, your first niche fragrance, or just a cheap bottle that you picked up from CVS? Because as us fragheads know, fragrance has nothing to do with price. It has everything to do with connection. And not necessarily about connection with others. A lot of times it's about connection with ourselves. And speaking of connection, I'd like to talk about my partnership with the Fragrance Decant Boutique. Now this week was kind of hard for me because unfortunately I had to shut down a Fragrant.online.com. Now when I created a Fragrant.online.com, it sort of legitimized everything I was doing here on social media. It was like I had hit 10,000 followers, and then all of a sudden I was creating a website as a hub for me to connect more with you guys. And early on, I started working with the Fragrance Decant Boutique. And recently, me and the Fragrance Decant Boutique had partnered up and launched the official AFSOM decant shop right on Fragrant.online.com. And then, of course, things just sort of went south. I started having issues with the company that hosted my web domain, and they were kind of holding my website hostage for a few $1,000s, basically saying that they wanted me to pay them a large sum of money in order to keep a Fragrance.online.com. And I'm like, that's not happening. For one, because it kind of felt like blackmail, and then for two, I don't have that kind of money. I did what I do best, and I had to pivot. So what I did to pivot was I secured a brand new website domain, and this time it's permanent. And the domain that I secured is Fragrant.online, the official home of a Fragrant State of Mind online, Fragrant.online. And of course, we still have the official AFSOM decant shop powered by the Fragrance Decant Boutique. And that means that you can use our partnership to take advantage of some amazing deals on fragrance decants. And of course, you want to try before you buy. And honestly, discovering samples is how a lot of us find the fragrances that eventually become part of our story. Because at the end of the day, fragrance is invisible, but somehow it leaves the strongest impression. When I was a kid, my mom sold Avon. My mom would always remember to order extra fragrance samples, and they usually came in like a little wet nap pack. And I remember having them all over the house, and I would smell them, and then for like birthdays and holidays and things like that, my mom would gift me bottles from Avon. And they were always in these like elaborate bottle presentations, and I thought they were kind of cool, but I remember them smelling pretty strong and abrasive, you know? So cologne for me as a young kid was sort of like something that made me feel masculine and older and more mature, but somehow I felt like in order to be more mature that you had to just kind of smell strong and alcohol-y. And then when I finally became old enough to pick out my own fragrance, I remember I went to a Rite Aid and I saw a bottle of this sitting on the shelf, Nautica Voyage, and it was like $20, which at the time was kind of a lot of money for my mom. And I remember asking her, I said, "Mom, can I get a bottle of this for Christmas?" And she said, "I'll talk to Santa Claus about it." But of course Christmas came around, and lo and behold, I had a brand new bottle of Nautica Voyage. And I remember smelling it for the first time. And I remember thinking, this is the scent of my generation. And I remember after Christmas break, I had gotten my new crispy outfit for the first day of school. Of course, I had my backpack on and my brand new shoes from Kmart, and I was all ready to face the world. And I sprayed on about 30 sprays of Nautica Voyage. And I remember standing at the bus stop with Limp Bizkit playing in my ears. And I remember getting onto that bus and I'm like, damn right, Fragrant Derek has arrived. And ironically, they didn't call me Fragrant Derek back then. My nickname when I was a kid was Zumba. And the reason I got the nickname Zumba was because I actually played football as a teenager. In one of the first football practices we had that year, I was up against a couple kids. We were kind of like doing this scrimmage where we had to like hit each other. And I remember I had forgotten my helmet at home, and I went up to the coach and I said, hey coach, I don't have a helmet. And he said, go in the shed and grab yourself a helmet. I went in there and I'm rummaging through all the helmets and none of them fit. And finally I grabbed this one helmet, put it on my head, and it fit, but it was a little bit stinky. And I went out there and I remember I got in line, and then I went up against this really big kid. He was like the biggest kid in my class. And I'm sitting there and I'm down and I'm ready to rock and roll. And all the kids are chanting, Zumba, Zumba, Zumba. And I'm thinking they're repeating some kind of weird Native American chant or something. So I'm kind of digging it. So I'm going Zumba, Zumba, back, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden I go off and I hit the kid and he knocks me right out. I stood up and I'm a little bit woozy, and I ended up playing the rest of the practice. And all the kids are coming up to me saying, good job, Zumba, good job, Zumba. And I'm like, what the heck are they calling me Zumba for? At the end of practice, I go and I give my helmet back to the coach, and there's a piece of tape stuck to it that says D. Zumba. So apparently the kid that owned that helmet before me, his name was Zumba, and they all thought my name was Zumba because I was wearing, of course, a helmet, and it said Zumba on it. Well, that ended up becoming my nickname the entire year. The point of that story is, when I smell Nautica Voyage, that story and everything that happened that year at school is what this smell reminds me of. Because fragrance for me isn't necessarily about getting compliments or dropping panties. It's about reminding me of a different time, a better time, a different place. Oftentimes, fragrance can tell people who we are before we even speak, and sometimes it can remind us of who we are when we forget. So keep wearing what you love, keep expressing yourself, and most importantly, keep a fragrant state of mind. My name's Fragrant Derek. I love you all. Remember to always look good, feel good, and smell good, and consider your mind decanted.